Hello everyone, and thank you for watching this video. Today I am going to show you how you can add a shadow line to your Bosch GCM12SD miter saw. You will need a few items. These are the items that I've used. I've listed on the screen. First, you'll need a Dewalt DWS779 XPS work lights upgrade kit, drill and drill bits, two countersink screws, zip ties, heat shrinks, some solders, Dremel, a Phillips screwdriver, and some extra wire. I believe it is 24 gauge wire. This is the part or the kit that you will need. I will list the link in the description so you just click it and go there. The kit itself has 4 items. Out of the 4, you will only need 3. You need the power supply and a switch to the left. Those are 1 item. You can take them apart. In the middle is the wire harness, and to the right is the LED light itself. And in the next slide here, I just crossed out the handle. You don't need that. You can save yourself some money by not making that purchase. Just get the 3 item. Okay, let's go ahead and perform the mod itself. First, please disconnect your saw from any power source. Secondly, you will need to remove the blade guard. There are 3 screws that will need to be removed using the provided Allen key or wrench that came with your purchase of your miter saw. The first screw that I took out here is the biggest screw. Now it's the bracket, and when you take that off, you have access to the middle of the 3 screw, the smaller one. This one here, you don't have to take it out completely. I would say back it up maybe 5 to 6 turn. That should be adequate to remove the blade guard itself. The other one, you will have to unlock the saw with the position being up like this. You can have access to it, and then once you remove that, the blade guard itself should come off. This particular screw here, you will have to remove it completely in order for you to remove the blade guard. And in a moment, you'll see me take the blade guards off and put the screw back on, just so that I won't lose it later on. And mind you, this was shot in December of 2021 in a rainy Southern California, which is rare for us. But the sound of the raindrop on my patio was so loud that I had to do a voiceover, which I did not have any intention of doing. But here we are. All right, now that the blade guard is off to the side, I am going to go ahead and replace the screw that I took off earlier. And you will see me struggling just to put the screw back in, because when it gets to about 37 degrees in Southern California, we consider that cold. Yes, we are blessed. So anyways, now the screw is back inside the spot where it belongs. We are going to go ahead and remove the blade. Now, to remove the blade, you will use the same Allen wrench, and by depressing the button in the back and turn the wrench clockwise, you will loosen the screw that is holding the blade. Once you pop that loose, go ahead and turn it clockwise direction, and won't be too long where the blade will come right off. And make sure you wear some gloves just so you don't get cut. I was fortunate to have some gloves on, and it makes the job easier too, so you don't get cut and stuff like that. Now, once the blade is off, I will show you what I've done to the blade housing itself. First up, you will see there are 2 screws up there. These are the screws that I was telling you about earlier in the list. You will need to drill those and tap them so that it will hold the LED light to the housing permanently. Well, I should say permanently, but securely. I do use blue Loctite to secure the screw just in case of vibration and stuff. These screws up here are drilled and tapped into the LED bracket itself that will securely hold it in place. It is a countersink screw just to keep it nice and flush with the blade housing so that the blade guard will not be interfered with. I also use blue Loctite just to keep it from being loose during the operation of the saw. The LED itself feels like it's made for the saw. It fits perfectly. And before you drill and tap, you may want to adjust the angle of the light to see how you will like it. For me, I feel like the way I have it at this angle, it works well. And the top here, I drill a hole for an exit. The wire that exit from the LED to the handle, I did put one blue zip tied just so that the wire will stay in place. Now, blue is not my favorite color or anything like that. It's just something that I have on hand. And you can use whatever color of zip ties that you like. Here, as you can see, the wires has been soldered and extended to reach the handle because the wire from the kit itself is a bit short. So I cut it and I extend it with the 24 gauge wire. Here's one more look at the top of the blade housing that I drill a hole to let the wire run back through the handle, and two more screws to hold it with a zip tie. And here you can see where I extend the wire by soldering it and heat shrink it back to the handle. And up top I drill one more hole to put in a zip tie to hold it in place, and so that it will also be out of the way of the blade guard. And here you're looking at the handle itself. Now, the to remove the handle, to split them apart, you will have to remove 3 screws from the bottom and 4 screws from the top. And here I am going to go ahead and remove one of the 3 bottom screw. This is a Phillips screwdriver. I don't know what number it is, but find one that fits snug without stripping the screw itself. Now this is the last of the screw from the bottom. This is the 3rd screw. And here, once you take off the 4 top screw, and this is what it looks like. It will not pop off like this. It just happened that I took it apart and then I forgot to record it. So now these are the screws you take off, and then the top 4 screw, and that shit comes off. Okay, now you will see the switch on the left side there. This is the switch that came with the kit. And once again, I feel like Bosch had some idea of putting a switch there, because if you look at from the bottom of your handle, you'll see there's a mark that was meant for a switch, and just cut along those lines. And once you cut along those lines, or make a hole along those lines, make it smaller than what the switch required, and you just press fit it. And here you see that's the power supply that came in the handle of the kit. And this is the wire that was tapped into the power supplies of the handle itself. The black wire wrap around the left side along those other wires, and then tap into the left screw from the switch itself. And that's the only wire that we tapped from that switch. Now, there's another wire, the white wire. The white wire itself will tap into the red wire on the saw. This is the positive wire that runs continuously. If you don't have if you're not sure, use a voltmeter to check for the power. But that is the wire that I've tapped into. The white wire goes into the red wire, the black wire going to that left side of the switch. Those two wire will give power to the power supply itself. The power supply is the little yellow thingy that you see there. And then from there, it runs to the switch. Now, this is the top portion of the handle. This is the bottom looking up. This is the most difficult part of the mod, I would say, because you have to Dremel the sidewalls of the handle and the ribs that give the handle strength and whatever else that's in the way of the power supply. The power supply that I'm referring to is the one from the kit, from the Dewalt kit. You will need to make room for it to sit in there. It will have enough room to sit in there, but you just have to have some patience. You're gonna have to Dremel it out and then test fit. And the bottom is the same way. You're gonna have to drill out some of those ridges and some ribs, and also the sidewalls, thinning it out a little bit just to give it enough room for the power supplies to sit on. This is the wire that runs to the switch itself. And again, the black wire will tap to the left side of the switch. The other side, the right side, just leave it alone. There's no need to tap into that right side. The white wires tap into the red wires of the original handle. Okay, that's where it's gonna tap into. That will give power to the power supplies, and then power to the switch, and ultimately power to the LED light itself. Now we are looking at the upper handle again. This is where the switch is mounted. As I've mentioned, there is a preform or location for the switch itself, and it's perfect for that switch. It's made for the same switch. I feel like at one point Bosch had this idea of putting a shadow line with a switch at the exact same spot. So if you cut the hole for the switch, make sure it's smaller than the switch, so that way it sits nice and tight. It's always, you can always extend it or make it bigger, but you can't make it smaller. So, and just line it up to the side of the handle for aesthetic purposes. And that's it for the switch, really. Once you take a look at the underside of your upper handle, you'll see the spot for the switch. You cannot go wrong. It is like meant for it. That's what makes this mod easy. It feels like it was meant to be there. Now that you've done all the dremeling and tapping the wire, that's pretty much it. Now it's just time for us to put the handle back together. Here I'm putting the four screw on top, and while holding the handle, making sure that the power supply does not move and is sit in one place right inside the handle. And you will see that there would be no gap, and it will feel like it was meant to be there. That's what's the whole purpose of the mod. And we needed that light. The light is super useful, and I feel like Bosch at one point had an idea and abandoned the idea. But luckily, the kids from Dewalt helps us make this mod possible, and it looks great, to be honest. It feels great. I've used it for over a year now, and I've had no issues, and I love this saw. But that was the one thing that was missing, and I'm glad that we were able to find something that will work. And now that's the top part is completed, I am gonna go ahead and put in the screw from the bottom that will complete the reassembly of the handle. And as you can see, the gap on the between the handle are pretty perfect. And I will show you here on the gap. I do want to apologize for the camera work. This is my first video of tutorial. I'm not good at working the camera or editing at all. But as you can see, the gap is good. It's acceptable. And if you want to, you can put a bead of silicone around it to keep the dust out, because dust will find its way in there. And as you can see, when I opened up my handle, I see all kind of dust in there. So if you want to put a bead of silicone, it's up to you, but I choose not to. And that's it for the handle. And now the rest of the projects, you just have to reverse everything. Here I'm pointing out the hole that I drill from the top to run the wire that will power the LED. Before I put the blade and the blade guard back, I just want to go ahead and show you one more time the LED light itself. It fits snug. The LED has a somewhat of a bracket or a shroud, and that's what I tapped into from the side to keep it in place. Now, I don't need it to do on both sides. I just need to do on one side that will keep it secured, because the LED fit super snug into the housing itself. Now that everything is back in place, we're gonna go ahead and do a test. I just hit the switch. Now the light is on, and I'm just showing you here the shadow on the saw itself, and this is the spinning of the blade, making sure everything works. And I'm going to put a piece of paper to show you the line that we were trying to achieve. I prefer this over the laser because you can see both sides of the blade, and an extra light working in the evening or so is perfect. And I was pointing my finger next to the blade there, and I hope I didn't freak you guys out, but I did not have my hands on the trigger or anything. I was far away from it, so I was safe. And here I'm showing you the demonstration. There's the line, there's a little cut. And with that, the mod is complete. Now, before I let you go, and if you like contents like this, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that like button. And I will be posting more DIY projects on this channel, and I will include some of these still pictures that I've taken when I was making this tutorial. This is a while back, and some of these photos are more clearer because the saw has not been used. This is the drill and tap of the blade housing. This is how the LED look inside the housing itself. And as you can see, it is a snug fit. And be sure to check the clearance when you install the LED lights. And this is the Dremel work of the upper and lower handles. Like I said, those ribs that give the handle strength, you will need to remove majority of them in order for the power supply to sit. And this is the picture of the switch itself, and this is how it look. And again, the Dremel work to fit the power supplies, and this is the wiring that needs to be tapped in order for the power supplies to have power. And here is the power supply itself. Thanks again for watching.